Make it stick. Welcome back. We jump into Anki to start the day out. Nothing new. So what did we read about yesterday? I know we got into the takeaway, the final section of chapter 4, which is embrace difficulties. We started and finished the chapter, or the section before that, undesirable difficulties. Okay. Yeah, so undesirable difficulties. This section was about basically two examples of the authors, what they think intuitively are undesirable difficulties. Before we say those, though, the desirable difficulties that have been mentioned within the text, this book so far, are testing/retrieval, spacing, interleaving, varying, generating or generation, and then some contextual/fluency interruptions. Okay. So the two examples of undesirable difficulties, which have not been backed by research necessarily, but the authors intuitively think that they are undesirable. I don't really agree with them fully on both of these, but we'll get into that in a second. So the first undesirable difficulty is basically difficulties that cannot be overcome with increased effort. Okay, the example they gave was like, if the book you're reading is not in the language that you know how to read, then just increasing your effort is not going to change anything. You're still not going to know what's going on. So that's an undesirable difficulty. A desirable difficulty is something that can be overcome through increased cognitive effort. Cognitive effort is really the big thing with desirable difficulties. It's difficult, so it causes you to be more focused and use more cognitive energy to overcome that difficulty. Okay? So, where I disagree with the authors on this point is basically where are we defining as the time frame? Because what cannot be overcome in the long term with increased effort? I can learn the language if you give me long enough. So that example doesn't work anymore. I mean, it was really only a paragraph, so it wasn't vague. I mean, it was pretty vague. There was no time frame listed. It's more of the abstract of, if you can't overcome it with cognitive effort, it's not a desirable difficulty, it's an undesirable difficulty. Again, don't fully agree with this, because even if you can't overcome it right now, or fully right now, the increased effort is going to lead to better learning when you do overcome it. So, and even if you don't ever fully overcome it, it's going to prime your brain to pay attention and put more effort into related things that can help you overcome it. So I don't know fully. I guess I can see what they're saying, but I don't fully agree. The second undesirable difficulty in this section is basically a difficulty that is unrelated to what you're actually trying to learn. This one's fair, but again, I don't fully agree with it. They're like saying, training to deal with hagglers as a politician, like when you're giving a speech, can be beneficial if you have fake hagglers. But if you're just doing like YouTube videos, practicing, responding to haters and hagglers while you're presenting and talking is not really going to help you that much necessarily. But I get this. I say that's fine if that's your train of thought is like you're trying to learn something, you're actually making it more difficult to actually learn the thing, and you're not even getting closer to it. You're going off on these strays. Cool, I agree with that. But also, I believe that learning anything makes learning anything in the future easier and faster and more effective. This is the compounding effect of knowledge, and compounding effect of meta learning. So that's where I disagree. Then we got into the final section called the takeaway, which is the summary section. Actually, I got this wisdom teeth coming down. Food always gets stuck in it. It's just, I don't even know if there's food stuck in it, but oh, there was. I just got it. Okay. All right. First part of the takeaway was basically there's a minimum of 3 parts to learning, 3 steps, stages: encoding, consolidation, retrieval. Okay. All learning builds on previous learning, and this is then the meta effect of learning, or meta learning again, the compounding effect. The more you know, the more things you can connect new information to, so you can learn more and faster. Yeah, there's probably something else, but I'm not really remembering now. Let's check if we got everything. Robert and Elizabeth Bjork came up with a term, or coined the term, desirable difficulty. Okay. Anything else from this section? That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's all good. One thing I noted on the wrong page, it was actually from the last section, was sometimes the best learning strategy is just to jump in, blunder, generative learning, because planning can actually cause you to overanalyze and never actually do much besides planning. Okay, cool. There's no known limit to how much the capacity of long-term memory, right? There's no known limit to how much we can hold in long-term memory, but there's also long-term memory is not enough. To actually be able to learn things and use things, you need to have not just things in your long-term memory, but you need to have cues and retrieval pathways that are robust. How do we improve these cues and pathways to the long-term memory specific area we want? Repeated use, meaning repeated retrieval, not mass practice. Repeated use, aka retrieval, and effortful use, so effortful retrievals. Right, desirable difficulties can lead to, like I said, increased learning, better learning through increased cognitive effort. It's the cognitive effort that's really the important part of desirable difficulties. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and finish chapter 4. We got 1 page left, so I'll be back after I read this. I'll give you a sec. That's it. Chapter 4 completed. What was it about? This last bit was about a lot of things. First of all, retrieval practice, effortful retrievals. This, like I said before, strengthens retrieval cue pathways as well as other things, but we'll get to that in a sec. It builds stronger cue pathways, but it also simultaneously weakens other pathways and competing pathways for that cue. Okay? The more effort the retrieval, the more learning that occurs. So the more the effort of retrieval, the more learning, the resulting learning occurs. Retrieval also leads to reconsolidation, which is like updating the memory, building it more, making it pliable, adding more to it, more pathways, connections, more cues, okay? Basically another round of growth of learning. Retrieval or recall from short-term memory does very little for learning. Again, with another thing related to repeated retrieval and effortful retrieval, this leads to the integration of this knowledge or memory into a mental model, which is a group of interrelated knowledge and cues and pathways. A mental model, some examples are driving a car, playing a certain song on the guitar. Even I've got a mental model for Make It Stick. All right, this book. So you can build mental models around really anything. Interleaving and variation. These two desirable difficulties lead to increased discrimination skills and induction skills. Discrimination skills we've talked about a lot. Being able to see the differences, the underlying principles that are different, underlying patterns that make closely related things. Like you can see more nuance. Induction is being able to also see the commonalities between things. So these things are similar because of these underlying principles or patterns or aspects. Interleaving varying also leads to more adaptability. You can use the thing in more unique situations, the skill or knowledge. It also leads to more deeply entrenched knowledge, meaning it's more robust, has way more connections, more cues. Okay? Attempting to do or solve something before being given the answer leads to more learning and longer retention, assuming that you do have corrective feedback. You are shown the answer afterward. I think that's everything. Yep. Chapter 4. In the books. Chapter 5, avoid illusions of knowing is what we'll be doing next, but we have some stuff to do before then. What do we do? First of all, let's go wrap up the chapter summary. Well, first of all, what is the takeaway about? I don't even know if I needed to write this, but a high level overview / summary of chapter 4. So now we can go back to the beginning of the chapter. I've been keeping basically like little notes, 1 to 2 sentences on what the chapter is about. Embrace difficulties, I would say, is about desirable difficulties. And then in parentheses, retrieval / testing, spacing, interleaving, variation, generation, and some contextual / fluency interruptions. Lead to better learning through increased cognitive effort. Okay. So, I mean, at this point, we already know that this doesn't really do much, but I'm just going to write it again at the beginning of this chapter. What is this chapter about? Desirable difficulties. Retrieval / testing, spacing, interleaving, variation, generation, and some forms of contextual / fluency interruptions lead to more and better learning through increased cognitive energy. Boom. Now we can say we're pretty much done with the book, or chapter 4 from the book. Next up, what we do is wait, what did I say? We got 30 seconds left? Okay, I guess we'll call that a day, we'll call that day, basically. What we're going to begin doing tomorrow is to answer any questions that we had here. So the first question is going to be, what are undesirable difficulties? Basically, difficulties that don't lead to more and or better learning. Example, test anxiety. Other examples from the book, and then we'll do 1 and 2 tomorrow. So it's always fun to have these questions written out and then have no idea what the answers are, and then come at the end and be like, yeah, actually, I'm pretty certain I know that now. All right. I feel pretty good though. Chapter 5, dude. Are you kidding me? Avoid illusions of knowing. This is going to be all about the testing effect, probably. Surely this is going to be a short chapter. 30 pages. Is that short? 28 pages. Is that short? No, that's actually... It's actually the second longest chapter we've read so far, but the last one was long. Last one was 35. Last chapter in this book is fat, though. 52, I think. So this one's not horrible. 29 pages, 28, 29. It's the shortest one we'll have left in the book. I'm assuming this is just going to be about... I'm assuming this is going to be about the testing effect. That's cool, though. First thing I'm already seeing is the 2 systems of knowing. That's Daniel Kahneman. That's going to be Thinking Fast and Slow. Yep, his book, Thinking Fast and Slow. This book has referenced Mindset by Carol Dweck and Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And this is Make It Stick by Henry Roediger, Peter Brown, and Mark McDaniel. But I almost have them all 3 now, finally. And those 2 other books will be probably books I do the same thing I'm doing with this book, deep diving. Mindset by Carol Dweck, Thinking Fast and Slow by Kahneman. That's it for today. We'll talk to you guys later. See ya.